If you miss an avoidant right now, and the chemistry is the part that haunts you, the looks, the pull, the way one moment with them felt like oxygen, I want to start with something that actually helps instead of shaming you. You are not weak for feeling it. You are not crazy for replaying it. Chemistry with an avoidant can feel like the most personal connection of your life. Not because you imagined it, but because your nervous system experienced it as important. And the fastest way to get control back, and yes, to increase the chance of a real return, is to understand what that chemistry is actually made of. Because once you understand the recipe, you stop chasing the feeling, and you start creating the conditions that make an avoidant come closer without panicking, without pressuring them, and without losing yourself in the process. Here is the truth that will calm you immediately. Chemistry is not proof that someone is safe. Chemistry is your body's signal that something matters. Sometimes it matters because it is aligned, steady, and real. But sometimes it matters because it is intense, unpredictable, and your brain is trying to solve it. With avoidance, chemistry often gets amplified by one thing in particular: contrast. Warmth followed by distance. Connection followed by silence. Being seen for a moment, then feeling like you disappeared. That contrast makes the good moments feel bigger than they are, and it makes your mind treat the bond like a mystery you must finish. That is why you can feel attached to someone who is inconsistent and still swear the connection is special. It can be special, but special is not the same as stable. And if you want to get an avoidant back, stability is the whole game. So let's break down what chemistry usually means in avoidant dynamics, in a way that keeps you warm, clear, and strategic. The first layer of chemistry is familiarity. This is where people get trapped, because familiarity does not feel like a warning. It feels like home. If you grew up around emotional unpredictability, or you learned that love had to be earned, or you learned to scan for cues to feel secure, your nervous system can misread certain patterns as connection. It does not do this because it wants to hurt you. It does it because it is trying to predict safety. When an avoidant gives you a small window of closeness, your system registers it as a win. Not just emotionally, biologically. Your brain tags it as valuable because it was not guaranteed. That is why the smallest signals can feel like everything. A text, a look, a soft tone, a moment where they drop the guard. Those moments land as proof that the real person is in there, and they are. The problem is not that the real person is not in there. The problem is that the real person does not always have the capacity to stay close. That is the second layer of chemistry with avoidance: tension. Avoidant chemistry is often a dance between desire and fear. Many avoidants can feel a real pull, and at the same time feel threatened by the responsibility of closeness. That creates a push-pull rhythm. Not always intentionally, often it is automatic. When closeness rises, fear rises. When fear rises, they create space. When they create space, your anxiety rises. When your anxiety rises, you chase, explain, ask, seek reassurance, try to secure the bond. And that pursuit can feel like love to you, but to an avoidant nervous system, it often feels like pressure. Not because you did something wrong, because their system interprets being needed as being trapped. So you get the exact outcome you hate. You reach for closeness, and they step back. And then your chemistry spikes even more, because now the bond is uncertain again. This is why you can feel most obsessed when things are least stable. So the third layer of chemistry is meaning. Your mind starts assigning meaning to the contrast. You start believing the intensity means depth. You start believing the pain means you care. You start believing the struggle means it is real. But what your body is often responding to is not depth. It is unpredictability. And unpredictability is powerful because it keeps your attention locked. If you do not know where you stand, you keep checking. If you do not know what they feel, you keep decoding. If you do not know when the warmth will return, you keep waiting. That loop can feel romantic because it is consuming. But consuming is not the same as secure. Now, here is where we turn this into the strategy that gets you what you want. You do not want to be told to move on. You want to know how to reconnect with an avoidant in a way that makes them come closer and stay closer. That means you have to stop using chemistry as proof and start using chemistry as information. Chemistry tells you the bond is activating something. Great, but it does not tell you if the person has the behavior and capacity to build something stable. The whole goal is to convert chemistry into consistency, because consistency is what makes an avoidant safe enough to stay. And it is what makes you stop feeling like you are living in suspense. So let's talk about the two types of chemistry people confuse. There is calm chemistry, and there is high-tension chemistry. Calm chemistry feels like attraction plus safety. You feel more like yourself around them. You can breathe. You do not feel like you are auditioning. High-tension chemistry feels like attraction plus uncertainty. You feel pulled but not settled. You feel hungry for signals. You feel like you are one message away from peace. That is the kind of chemistry that makes you over-text, over-explain, and over-pursue. And that is the chemistry that tends to make avoidance retreat. So if you want the avoidant back, you must become someone who can feel the pull without reacting to it. That is not numbness. That is skill. The most important skill in avoidant dynamics is this: you do not let chemistry set your behavior. You let standards set your behavior. Chemistry can stay, but it does not drive the car. Now, I want to make this extremely practical. What does an avoidant actually respond to when chemistry is present? Two conditions: safety and consequence. Safety means your energy does not flood them. It does not demand, it does not trap, it does not punish, it does not humiliate. It is clean, calm, and emotionally regulated. Consequence means access is not free anymore. You are not constantly available to stabilize their nervous system while they avoid responsibility. Most people only do one of these. They create safety by being endlessly understanding, which makes the avoidant comfortable staying distant. Or they create consequence through coldness and protest, which makes the avoidant feel controlled and they run. What creates a return that sticks is calm consequence, warm tone, narrow access. You are kind, but you are not easy to keep at arm's length. You are present, but not on demand. You do not chase, but you also do not play games. You simply do not reward inconsistency. Now, let's address the biggest misconception about chemistry with an avoidant. People think chemistry means they should lean in harder. More honesty, more vulnerability, more explaining, more talking, more emotional processing. But in avoidant dynamics, leaning in emotionally at the wrong time is exactly what triggers distance. So the better move is pacing. Pacing is not withholding. Pacing is not manipulation. Pacing is the ability to let connection build in a way that does not activate their fear system. That is why a lot of avoidants come back when you stop chasing. Not because they enjoy being chased and then punished, but because when you stop chasing, the pressure drops. They can breathe. And once they can breathe, they can actually feel. But here is the part people miss. The return only becomes real if you do not reward the return itself. You reward the staying. If they pop back in after distance and you explode with relief, you just taught them that leaving then coming back works. You reinforced the loop. The loop is the enemy, not them. So if you want the chemistry to become a relationship, you have to stop feeding the loop. Now let's talk about what is happening inside your body when you miss them. This matters because missing an avoidant is different than missing a steady person. When you miss a steady person, you miss a consistent presence. When you miss an avoidant, you often miss the spike. You miss the moment where your nervous system finally relaxed because you felt chosen again. That is why you can miss someone even when you know the relationship hurt. You are not missing the pain. You are missing the relief from the pain. That is why your brain keeps saying, just one more conversation, just one more message, just one more night, and then I will calm down. But if you calm down only when they give you a signal, you are training your body to outsource regulation to them. And when you do that, you lose leverage, and you become easier to keep in the loop. If you want the avoidant back, you want to be the person who is steady. Avoidants are drawn to steadiness over time. They might resist it at first, but steadiness is what makes closeness feel safe. Now, here is the clean framework for chemistry that keeps you from being bored while still being accurate. Chemistry with an avoidant usually comes from 3 ingredients. Ingredient 1 is access friction. You do not get consistent access, so access feels precious. Ingredient 2 is emotional contrast. Warm then cold, close then far, yes then silence. Ingredient 3 is personal meaning. You believe this person is rare, the connection is rare, and that belief makes every signal feel like it matters more. If you keep these 3 ingredients in mind, you can start changing the recipe. You reduce access friction by requiring consistency before expanding access. You reduce contrast by not responding to hot and cold with your own emotional spikes. And you reduce the over-meaning by focusing on behavior, not potential. That is not cold. That is intelligent. Now let's talk about what actually creates chemistry that lasts with an avoidant. Because yes, you can have chemistry and stability, but it requires the right structure. Avoidants tend to attach when connection feels voluntary, not demanded. They attach when they do not feel flooded. They attach when closeness does not mean immediate obligation. They attach when they feel safe to approach and safe to be imperfect. That means your best strategy is not to make them feel guilty. It is not to convince them. It is not to deliver the perfect speech. It is to create conditions. Conditions where they can come closer without losing themselves, and conditions where they cannot keep you as a background option without consequence. Now I am going to give you the practical steps without making it sound like an exercise. Step 1 is, stop using chemistry as an excuse to chase. If chemistry makes you send the long message, you lose. If chemistry makes you over-explain, you lose. If chemistry makes you collapse when they return, you lose. The chemistry is not the enemy. The reaction is. Step 2 is, compress your communication. Avoidants do not respond to volume. They respond to clarity. Shorter is stronger. Cleaner is stronger. Calm is stronger. Step 3 is, pace access. Do not upgrade the relationship because you had one intense conversation or one intense night. Upgrade access only after you see consistency. Consistency means predictable contact, follow through, repair, a real pattern, not a moment. Step 4 is stop rewarding the cycle. If they disappear and return, meet the return with calm, warm tone, narrow access. You do not punish, you do not celebrate. You simply observe behavior and reward staying. Step 5 is protect your energy during the gap. The gap is where most people lose the avoidant, because the gap is where they panic and chase. And when they chase, they recreate pressure. Pressure is the trigger. So when you feel the urge to reach, the most useful question is not, do they miss me? The most useful question is, what behavior am I training right now? If you chase into silence, you train silence. If you stay calm and consistent, you train consistency. Now, I want to talk about the most seductive mistake people make with avoidant chemistry. They treat unspoken feelings like a secret love story. They think if the avoidant felt it, but did not show it, the feelings must be deep. But unspoken feelings are not intimacy. They are emotion without the maturity to carry it into action. If you want to get an avoidant back, do not build a story around what you guess they feel. Build a structure around what they do. Your structure is what turns feelings into behavior. Now let's talk about the return, because that is what you actually care about. If you want a return that sticks, you need to be able to hold the first week of contact without turning it into a full relationship immediately. Most avoidants do not return by saying, "I am ready now." They return in soft ways first. A casual message, a check-in, a breadcrumb, a memory. And here is the trap. If you respond like someone who has been waiting, you hand your power away. You make the return too heavy. You flood them. Then they disappear again, and your chemistry spikes again, and the loop gets stronger. The better move is to treat the first return as a temperature check. You respond warmly, but you do not open the entire emotional vault. You keep your tone human, your access structured, and you let behavior build trust. This does two things. It keeps their nervous system from feeling trapped, and it keeps you from becoming dependent on one message. Now, what about physical chemistry? Physical chemistry can be a shortcut into deeper bonding, or it can be the thing that keeps you stuck. The difference is pacing and standards. If physical closeness happens, and then they become distant, do not chase for reassurance. Let the consequence speak. If physical closeness happens, and they follow through with consistency, you build. This is how you avoid the most common pattern: intense closeness, then silence, then you chase, then they retreat. You break it by not chasing. You keep the door calm, but you stop giving free access. And this is the part that feels counterintuitive, but works. Avoidance will often come closer when they realize closeness is available without pressure, and access is not available without consistency. Safety plus consequence. Now let's make this even more appealing, because I know you are tired of being told to regulate and be mature while your heart is loud. Here is the good news. You do not have to kill the chemistry to win. You just have to stop letting chemistry ruin your position. You can feel everything and still move cleanly. You can miss them and still not chase. You can want them back and still not reward instability. That combination is what makes you different. That combination is what makes them respect you, and it is what makes them curious. Because most people become either needy or cold. Very few people become calm and firm. Calm and firm is rare. Calm and firm is magnetic. Calm and firm is what makes an avoidance system stop and think. Now, let's talk about what to do if they are currently silent. If they are silent and you are spiraling, your chemistry is going to try to push you into action. It will tell you to send the message, ask for clarity, explain your intentions, prove you are safe. But the avoidant nervous system does not come closer because you proved you are safe with words. It comes closer when it experiences safety through your calm and your lack of pressure. So, the best move in silence is to go quiet cleanly, not as punishment, but as self-control. You remove pressure. You remove free access. You hold your frame. And you let their nervous system experience the absence without being flooded. If they have capacity, that space turns into reflection. If they do not, you will see it. Either way, you stop leaking your power. Now, if they reach out, here is the line you keep in your mind. You do not reward attention. You reward consistency. Attention is a spark. Consistency is a system. And a relationship is a system. So when they return, you stay warm, you stay steady, and you let them show you if they can stay. If they can, you build. If they cannot, you do not chase. Because every time you chase, you tell them, you can take distance and still keep me. And that is the one message you cannot afford to send if you want a real return. Now, I want to end with the real truth about chemistry with an avoidant. The chemistry was not fake. The feeling was not fake. What was unstable was the structure around it. Chemistry without structure becomes obsession. Chemistry with structure becomes connection. Your job is not to erase the chemistry. Your job is to build the structure that turns chemistry into something you can actually live inside. Warm tone, narrow access, calm consequence, reward staying, and watch behavior like it matters more than emotion, because it does. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.